Part 73. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi-Sing Cao. Chapter 723. 721. It's not like Grandma never gave gifts before, but it was always in front of everyone, not in private. Grandma asked Grandma Wang to give her something, which must have a deep meaning. Grandma Wang smiled and said, "Zhegan's wife said in front of you that she wanted to do business with you, and you agreed. The old lady knew that De Fang was taking advantage of you, so she wanted to give you some compensation. Thank you for taking care of everything, the big picture." He Tian was stunned. It turned out to be this. She had always suspected that her grandmother was partial, but now that she thought about it, she finally understood that Huo Zheqian and Huo Zheqin were both her sons, and she was happy to see them helping each other. Please, He Tian can agree or not. Mrs. Huo can understand. However, after agreeing, Mrs. Huo looked after He Tian's innocent heart and filial piety. Although He Tian was willing to do so before, it was so that there wouldn't be a huge gap between the two families because of money. Now her grandmother's actions made He Tian feel warm in her heart. At least someone saw her efforts. Not her holy mother, but the rise and inheritance of a family requires not just the energy of one person, but the energy of a family. In this process, someone must make certain sacrifices. "Thank you, Grandma," He Tian said softly, collecting the exquisite purple box. Grandma Wang nodded and said, "You don't need to thank her, it's her who should thank you. Sometimes, some things will affect the first wife, and she knows it in her heart, and it will inevitably wrong you, the second wife. The palms and backs of her hands are all flesh, so she has to try her best maintain this balance for as long as you live. Don't let the first and second wives get into trouble." Huo Yingzhi smiled and nodded. "Grandma Wang, we understand, and we understand what Grandma means. Well, this is one of the reasons why the old lady likes you more," Grandma Wang said. Sometimes, the old lady sighed with Huo Yingzhi more than once, saying that He Tian is more suitable to be a clan wife and more suitable for the inheritance of the Huo family. However, that cannot be done now. "Haha, we also respect grandma, and uncles and aunts," Huo Yingzhi said. He understood the position of the second house, so his father and mother have been working hard, hoping that they can provide a roof for the second house in the future and let their children and grandchildren you can live a comfortable and generous life. Huo Yingzhi suddenly felt that his responsibility should not only be the decisions made by his superiors, but also his own decisions. He will use his own efforts to support He Tian so that He Tian can live freely. As long as you don't break the law, you have nothing to fear. In fact, maybe it's okay if he makes a mistake. Anyway, he will try his best to keep He Tian. Grandma Wang was very happy and chatted with He Tian and Huo Yingzhi. "Brother Yingzhi, you are here to take care of the child with Grandma Wang, while I go to the bathroom," He Tian said, not going back with her father-in-law and mother-in-law. She was worried about the child, so she didn't want Huo Yingzhi to follow her. "I'll go with you," Huo Yingzhi said, standing up. He Tian frowned and said, "Brother Yingzhi, Grandma Wang is the only one who can look after the two children. Moreover, the children are naughty now and can disappear in the blink of an eye. You should look after the children. A person of my age will not get lost." Grandma Wang looked at the lively child in front of her and echoed, "Yingzhi, this is not home. Once the child runs out, I won't be able to catch up. You still stay here to take care of the child. Other things can be slowed down, and the children must be watched. If it is lost, it would be a shame for Grandma Wang to die." "Yes, Brother Yingzhi, look at the child, Grandma Wang." He Tian knows that children of this age are like obedient little angels when they fall asleep. When they open their eyes, they immediately transform into little devils. "Okay, be careful," Huo Yingzhi said, but did not follow. He Tian went out, closed the door, and brought a cup. When she came back, she could bring some hot water. He Tian Tian came out of the bathroom, washed her hands, and poured a glass of hot water. Carrying hot water, He Tian Tian walked over slowly. Because He Tian Tian is good looking, people look over her from time to time. When passing by a small cubicle, I heard the whimpering sounds of two children inside. According to a mother's instinct, it was a bit unusual for a child to cry like this, so when she passed by the cubicle, she took a look inside. I saw a man with a beard and a woman with a mole on her face. Seeing this, it doesn't matter, He Tian Tian was stunned. The woman was holding a child in her arms, and it was the child who cried loudly. Instead of coaxing the child, this woman actually covered the child's mouth with her hands, making the child's face turn red. Where is this mother? My mother would never do this. Even relatives who help take care of the children would not do this. And that man didn't coax the child, but directly frightened the child. This is also very strange. He Tian Tian was very puzzled. He Tianation's eyes scanned other places and found that there were two children on the lower bunk. But the two children fell asleep, making no sound or moving at all. If it was in the previous life, He Tian Tian had no children, so maybe he wouldn't notice anything strange. However, now, He Tian Tian has two children and is the mother of two children. And most of the night, He Tian Tian coaxes her children to sleep, so it is immediately obvious that the two sleeping children are unusual. Generally, after a child falls asleep, he or she will kick his legs, move his arms, turn over, or move his mouth as if sucking milk, but will not remain motionless. And among these four children, two of them have very good clothes and exquisite shoes, but the other two children are not. This made He Tian Tian even more curious. When the man saw He Tian Tian looking over, his eyes flickered, but he was not panicked. He Tian Tian smiled and passed by. Back in her cubicle, He Tian Tian felt a little uneasy. Huo Yingzhe knew He Tian Tian best. His wife was different from before. Something must have happened. What's wrong? Huo Yingzhe frowned. Someone provoked you. He Tian Tian quickly shook her head and said, no one provoked me, I just felt something was wrong. What's wrong? Huo Yingzhe asked. If you have something on your mind, you have to say it. You know, I can solve all difficulties. She discovered something fishy. If He Tian Tian didn't tell her, if that couple really weren't good friends, she would have regretted it for the rest of her life. Considering Huo Yingzhe's abilities, perhaps it would be most appropriate to let him handle it. Brother Yingzhe, there is a man and woman in the 6th compartment from us. He Tian Tian told Huo Yingzhe what he saw. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 724. 722. Huo Yingzhe and Grandma Wang looked at each other in confusion after hearing this. Grandma Wang squinted her eyes. She was a dead man and had no children in her life, but she loved children very much. She was very angry when she heard that someone abused children. This child shouldn't be theirs, maybe he is a kidnapper or a kidnapper. Grandma Wang said, Yingzhe, go and have a look. If you feel strange, call the police. The next stop is Nan City, catch him first. If they are unjust, we will compensate them, if they are really bad people, we will do something good. Okay, I'll be there right away. Huo Yingzhe was about to leave, but was stopped by Grandma Wang again. Wait, Grandma Wang stopped, after you go over, get off the car and send these two people to the police station, and then come back. Tian Tian and I can just get off the car with the child. Grandma Wang, are you worried about those people taking revenge on us? Huo Yingzhe asked, feeling that Grandma Wang was making a fuss out of a molehill. Grandma Wang nodded and said, those people may not be worthy of comparison with the Huo family, but they are not afraid of thieves, but they are worried about them. You can do good deeds, but you can't involve your own family. Especially since we also have children at home. He Tian listened and thought deeply, and said, "Brother Yingja, just do what Grandma Wang said. You go handle this matter, there are not many things, I will just carry it. Grandma Wang is leading the child, anyway, the station over there, Secretary Guo is here to pick us up." "Well, okay, please pay attention to your safety." Huo Yingja nodded and set up a restriction without others knowing. He Tian and the child came out of the small cubicle, but no one else could come in except Huo Yingja. Huo Yingja looked at his watch. He would arrive at the station in 40 minutes, so he had to act quickly. Although he has the ability, he cannot always follow He Tian in front of the child, so there is nothing wrong with being careful. So, after Huo Yingja came out of the cubicle, he slightly changed his appearance and became a different person, and his clothes also changed a bit. However, no one else noticed all this, just like Huo Yingja didn't exist at all. Huo Yingja quickly came to the small private room that He Tian had mentioned and directly read the memories of the two people. It doesn't matter if you read this. They are really human traffickers, these people are going to Guangzhou. There are 3 boys and 1 girl. The 3 boys were sold to people who wanted sons but could not give birth to sons. The girl was also unlucky, she was taken advantage of by these 2 traffickers simply because she was good looking and was playing nearby. After becoming a father, Huo Yingja couldn't stand anything that hurt his children, even if it wasn't his child. In this bearded bag, there is a knife. Although Huo Yingja could subdue this man, it was difficult to explain to the outside world, so Huo Yingja decided to go to the flight attendant or conductor first. The conductor was a woman in her 40s. She was very nervous when she heard this. "I'll go take a look first, please wait a moment," the female conductor said, then put on gloves and pretended to be a cleaner, so as not to attract other people's attention. After a while, the female conductor came back, looking a little ugly. "Isn't it strange?" Huo Yingja asked, "we are arriving in Nanxi soon. If you don't take action, these 2 people might get off at Nanxi or other places, and they will be nowhere to be found if you try to look for them. Those are 4 children. Well, even if it's wrong, we still have to report it and find out." The female conductor hurriedly went to find the leader. In order not to alert the enemy, the train conductor summoned 5 policemen and prepared to surround the man and woman. "Don't forget, the child is in their hands. If they threaten the child, it will be very troublesome," Huo Yingja reminded. "Catching the traffickers is one thing, but protecting the children is the top priority." "Yes, that's what this kind comrade said," said the conductor. "We must protect the personal safety of the children." "Yes, we will pay attention." The 5 policemen nodded and discussed countermeasures, but they couldn't find a good way. Huo Yingja thought for a while, and then did something to make the bearded man have a stomachache and need to go to the toilet immediately. In this case, the bearded man will leave his seat and stop the man first, so that the woman can be dealt with easily. "You guys hide, I saw that man coming, maybe he wanted to go to the toilet," Huo Yingja reminded. "This is a perfect opportunity." Everyone's eyes lit up and they squatted down one after another. The one with the beard and stomach upset just wants to go to the toilet quickly. There was someone in the toilet at this time, and the man was quite anxious. When the toilet door opened, the man dragged the people inside out and went in himself. In his hurry, the man even forgot to close the door, and a foul smell came from the crack in the door. Several policemen hiding nearby were dizzy from the smoke. However, they did not forget their duties. When the man came out after being released, they immediately surrounded him and caught the man. "What do you want to do?" The man with the beard was very angry. "Why are you arresting people so randomly?" However, the 3 policemen did not give the man a chance to explain, and handcuffed him directly. "Please keep your voice down. You are acting suspiciously. If anything happens, let's talk about it at the police station," the police officer said solemnly. "If we have wronged you, I will apologize." When the man heard this, his expression changed and he saw the direction of his seat. The other two police officers and the female conductor had already passed by. The woman was startled when she saw the police suddenly coming. She hugged her child tightly and sat inside. Because of the force, the child in her arms rolled her eyes and couldn't breathe. When the two policemen saw this, they couldn't delay any longer, otherwise the child would be strangled to death. "You policemen are robbing children," the woman yelled, shrinking further inside. The two policemen quickly subdued the woman in her 30s. The female conductor hugged the child. The child was almost suffocating and her little face was red. Of the remaining three, two were still sleeping, and one was awake but huddled in the corner. A man and a woman were arrested and imprisoned together. The female train conductor coaxed the child and looked at the child hiding in the corner. The child was about 5 years old and his eyes were full of fear. "Child, is that woman just now mommy?" the female conductor asked gently. Although the little boy was frightened, he stared and shook his head. "Then do you know them?" the female conductor was stunned. "They were really human traffickers." The little boy shook his head again. "Did they hit you?" The little boy nodded. "Do you remember your parents' names?" "Remember," the little boy finally spoke, "my father is Zhao Dehai, and my mother is Zhang Xiaofen. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 725. 723. From the words of a child, the police officer and the female train conductor can be sure that there is something wrong with the two of them. Save them, save them. Although the little boy was scared, when he saw the police, he remembered what his parents taught him to call the police when he was in trouble. What's wrong with them? The female conductor also noticed that the child was unusual. After taking the medicine, I fell asleep. The little boy scratched his head. I didn't wake up. The little boy was still young and could only use the simplest language to describe what he saw. There was no doctor on the train, so the police and conductor immediately passed the news to the conductor. The conductor saw that there were still 10 minutes to reach the train station, so he used a radio in the carriage to ask if there was a doctor. What a coincidence! 2 doctors concluded that the child had taken sleeping pills. They didn't have any medicine on hand and couldn't help. They had to wait until the station and send him to the hospital directly. The conductor sent a telegram directly to the train station in Nanjing. When the train arrived, he immediately sent a car to take the child to the hospital. Fortunately, the child's breathing was relatively stable, and I could only pray that the dose of medicine would not be too large. As soon as we got off the train, the child was taken to the hospital. As a whistleblower, Huo Yingjia will also go to the police station to take notes. He Tian listened to everyone's discussion and denounced the hatefulness of the human traffickers. "Hey, these traffickers who kill thousands of people." Grandma Wang hated it in her heart, which reminded her of the sad things in the past. He Tian was stunned and asked, "Grandma Wang, those people have been caught and deserve what they deserve." "Hey, it's so pitiful that these are just a few children," Grandma Wang said, "but they are lucky and have been rescued, but those who have not been rescued can only leave their parents forever." "Well, yes, it's very pitiful," he Tian said. "I really hope there are no such heartless people in the world." Grandma Wang took out the handkerchief, wiped her tears, and said, "Hey, I was kidnapped when I was a child. I couldn't remember my parents and my hometown at that time. Fortunately, the old lady was also a little girl at that time, and the family needed a servant. He brought me back when I was only 5 years old." Hearing what Grandma Wang said, he Tian was very surprised. It turned out that Grandma Wang had such an experience. But continuing to discuss this topic at this time will only make Grandma Wang sad. He Tian said softly, "Grandma Wang, you will live with us from now on." Brother Yingja and I will respect you and treat you as our own grandmother. Sure enough, after hearing this, Grandma Wang had a smile on her face. You and Yingja are both good children, and you know how to be grateful, Grandma Wang said with a smile. Back then, the old lady asked me to recognize your father-in-law as my godson, but I didn't agree. After all, although I nursed your father-in-law, I also raised him, your father-in-law, but I am just a good-for-nothing woman and can't give you any help, so I refused. No wonder Grandma Wang is very kind to their second wife. It turns out there is such a relationship. Whether we recognized you before or not, we recognize you as Grandma anyway. He Tian smiled and said, if Yingja and I do something wrong in the future, you can tell us directly. You raised my father-in-law, and you raised your brother Yingja. Now you have to help us take care of our children, who are our elders. We will be filial to you and provide for you until the end of your life. Okay, you are interested. Grandma Wang was very happy and no longer thought about the sad things in the past. When the train arrived at the station, He Tian took off all the salutes, tied a large package on his back, and carried one in his hand. With the help of the guards around him, everyone got off the train together. Grandma Wang was carrying a package in her hand, which contained lunch boxes and other things for use in the car. Afterwards, He Tian and Grandma Wang each took a child out of the car. Although the children are small, they can walk on their own, but they are a little slow. Fortunately, their location is very close to the car door, and they will be fine as soon as they get off the train. Secretary Guo was already waiting by the train door, so He Tian saw Secretary Guo as soon as he got off the train. Where's Yingja? Secretary Guo asked. He had received a telegram saying that Huo Yingja was back together. Brother Yingja has something to take care of, let's go home first, He Tian replied, asking Secretary Guo to help get the things. Don't you need me to come forward? Secretary Guo asked. Some things do not require Huo Yingja's presence. As the mayor's secretary, he often gets twice the result with half the effort. He Tian shook her head and said, no, he asked us to leave first. I guess he will go back soon after we get home. Okay then. Secretary Guo picked up Huo Ruwa from the ground and helped carry things with his other hand. Secretary Guo picked up Huo Ruwa, and He Tian picked up Huo Ruimin. They each took some more things and left the station together and got into the car. When they arrived at home, Secretary Guo left. Zhang Lifang went to work, but all the quilts at home had been taken out and dried. She took off the outer clothes of the two sleeping children and put them into bed. Seeing that it was already noon, He Tian dug out the things in the kitchen and started cooking. The meal has just been cooked here, and Huo Yingja has returned home. Are those two people traffickers? He Tian asked. Even if they are not traffickers, they are probably not good people. Huo Yingja nodded and said, they are human traffickers. The three boys are going to be sold to those who want to have sons but cannot. The girl is just that they think she looks good and they stole it conveniently. They bought it from Tianchi. The car over there should be Tianchi's lost child. That's good. It can't be the first time these two have done this. They should be repeat offenders. If we interrogate them carefully, we might be able to find more children. He Tian said angrily, they are really unscrupulous and have both hands and feet. What's wrong? You have to do this kind of unscrupulous thing. Haha, if there are good people, there will naturally be bad people. Huo Yingja said, we can't control these, but as long as we meet them, it's our chance, so we can help as much as possible. That's right. He Tian nodded, just try your best. I hope the country will pay attention to the issue of human traffickers. Often a family is broken up because of children. If I were the child's parents, I would probably kill these people. Thoughts? Is it just thoughts? Huo Yingja sneered. If anyone touches his son or daughter, he will let their whole family die. While eating, we talked about today's events. Grandma Wang became angry again and said, when your father comes back tonight, I will definitely talk to him and ask him to govern strictly. The separation of mother and son is a tragedy in the world. Well, I want to say that economic development is the top priority, but good public security is the guarantee for everyone's safety. He Tian said that she likes Nanji and hopes that Nanji will become the best city. Here, there is joy, happiness, and peace. After dinner, He Tian and Huo Yingzhe were packing up the gifts they brought back while talking to Huo Yingzhe. As for the two children, after waking up, eating, and playing in the yard. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 726. 724. In the evening, Huo Jekan and Zhang Lifang came back and were very happy to see their son, daughter-in-law, grandson and granddaughter. Grandma Wang still remembered what happened in the morning and quickly told Huo Jekan to let him pay attention. Aunt Wang, I have written it down. I will talk to my colleague in charge of public security tomorrow and ask him to carry out another severe crackdown. Huo Jekan said, now that the economy has developed, people can move freely, and it has also provided criminals with more opportunities. More ways and means to commit crime. Dad, I think what you said is wrong. Huo Yingzhe said, if nothing else, in Kijia village before, the management was pretty strict at that time. Letters of introduction were required everywhere, and the checks were also very strict, but it wasn't a murderer escaped. Not only that, but 2 large tombs were found in the back hill of Kijia village, and tomb robbers appeared both times. Crimes will happen at any time, and crimes will not occur because of economic development, He Tian said, but strengthen investigation capabilities, improve laws, and govern the country according to law. Rule the country according to law. When Huo Jekan heard these words, his eyes lit up. It seems that these 4 words have a lot to do. Huo Yingzhe and He Tian looked at each other and smiled bitterly. It is estimated that their father has thought about how to make a brilliant move in his career. Hey, it's also pitiful. Those 2 were sent to our hospital. It wasn't until I got off work that the 2 sleeping children gradually woke up, Zhang Lifang said. Fortunately, the children have normal intelligence and have not become stupid. That's good, He Tian said. These 4 children are 4 families. Yes, luckily we found them, Zhang Lifang said with emotion. I hope they can find their parents as soon as possible. I originally thought that this matter would be over, but I didn't expect that a trafficking group would be involved, dozens of people would be found, and hundreds of people would be rescued. Nanji was commended for solving a serious case, but that was a story later. Before school started, He Tian went to the shop to have a look. Sanfan Bridge opens on the 8th day of the Lunar New Year. When He Tian passed by, she gave everyone a red envelope of 18 yuan and 88 cents, meaning, I want to make a fortune. Thank you, Leader Sun Sihao said with a smile. Although the money is not much, He Tian's thoughtfulness does not have such benefits in other units. For ordinary employees, this money can buy a nice set of clothes or even 10 days of living expenses for a family. Everyone has worked hard and worked hard. There will be a lot of salary, bonus, and red envelopes in the future, He Tian said with a smile. The new year and the new atmosphere hope to inspire everyone's enthusiasm for work. Yes, everyone applauded. Okay, let's go to work, He Tian nodded, then looked at Sun Sihao and Qian Chicken. Uncle Sun, Uncle Qian, follow me to the office. I want to talk to you. Okay, then go to the office, Sun Sihao said. He also had something to discuss with He Tian. He already had a suitable location for the new store. Arrived at the office. He Tian personally poured tea for Sun Sihao and Qian Chicken. Tian, what do you have to say first? Sun Sihao said. He Tian is the big boss. Even if he has something to do, he will wait until He Tian has finished speaking. He Tian smiled and said, actually, it's not a big deal. I just want to ask, what's the progress of our branch now? There are many residential areas in the south of the city, and compared to other places, the income level of people there is relatively high. You can definitely make money by opening a shop there, Sun Sihao said, and I also went there to see we've found 2 shops. If you're free, we'll check it out later. If it's okay, we'll decorate it in a month and we'll open it next month. He Tian nodded. She had also wanted to open a store in the south of the city before, which coincided with Sun Sihao, and said, okay, after lunch, let's go and have a look. Then He Tian looked at Jianchikan with a smile on his face. Uncle Jian, Aunt Jian, and your son, are they still in Nanji? He Tian asked. If they are, I would like to treat them to dinner. Yes, yes. But I can't let you invite me. I'll invite you. When you come back from Nanjing this afternoon, go directly to my house for dinner, okay, Jianchikan said, because he borrowed He Tian's money before and bought the house. The renovations were done well, so my son and wife were not disappointed when they came back. Haha, then we'll bother you tonight. He Tian smiled and happily accepted Jianchikan's invitation. By the way, we haven't seen each other for so many years. How are you getting along? We get along very well. I feel ashamed when I think about all the ridiculous things I did when I was young, Jianchikan said. It's rare for a wife to forgive me without caring about it. Moreover, she also said that she will not return to Xiangjiang. Just stay with me in Nanji. My son and daughter-in-law still have jobs there and will go back after the Lantern Festival. That's great. He Tian smiled. So, it's true that young couples come here to keep company. By the way, then you haven't thought about going to Xiangjiang? I have thought about it, Jianchikan said. I don't want to be separated from my wife and son, and I also want to see my grandchildren often. But my wife is homesick. Nanji is her hometown. She likes it here, not Xiangjiang. The climate there. Since she wants to stay here, we won't go anywhere. While we are still young, we can save more money for our children. Haha, no matter what, I'm happy for you, He Tian said. If you encounter difficulties, you can tell me. Okay, I won't be polite to you, Jianchikan said. With his family, the big yard has come to life, and as soon as he gets off work, he wants to go home immediately because someone is waiting for him at home. Huo Yingzhe was not far away, not talking, but looking through his account books. I have to say that He Tian has a good eye for people and employs people. The store management is very good and the accounts are clear. After having lunch with the employees in the shop, He Tian and Huo Yingzhe, led by Sun Sihao, went to the south of the city to look at shops and finally selected one. Although this house is suitable, they only rent it and don't sell it, Sun Sihao said. In the other house, the owner said that as long as the price is right, he would consider selling it. He Tian thought about it. The land would be valuable in the future, and buying it would also be an investment. It's better to buy it, so that our business will not increase and the rent will increase every 3 days, He Tian said. If there is someone else willing to sell it, you can also buy it and save it for later. Okay, I understand, Sun Sihao said. It's getting late today, so I have to go back and clean up, and go to Lao Jian's house for a drink and a meal. That's right. Let's go back and change clothes and prepare some gifts, He Tian agreed. It's the first time to visit. You can't go there empty-handed and undressed. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 727. 725. After He Tian returned home, she put on a fashionable woolen coat, which was sky blue in color and very slim-fitting, with a pink turtleneck sweater underneath. Because the wind is strong today, He Tian's hair is very long. Don't tie it up. It will be messy when the wind blows, so she tied her hair in a bun behind her head. A pink jade hairpin was inserted into the bun, and her ears were above, are blue drop-shaped gemstone earrings. The things He Tian bought at the overseas Chinese store have been sent to her home. He Tian prepared a piece of fine silk material for Mrsgn. The color is purple, elegant, and luxurious, and is most suitable for wearing as a cheongsam. He also prepared a silk gauze scarf for Qianchikan's daughter-in-law, which is elegant and light yellow. He also prepared toys for Qianchikan's grandson and granddaughter. Huo Yingzhe was wearing a gray tunic suit, like a tall poplar, standing erect. After He Tian packed up, she saw Huo Yingzhe waiting outside. Seeing He Tian come out, Huo Yingzhe stretched out his arm and took He Tian out with him. "Mom, you are beautiful." Huo Ruimin smiled. "Dad, you are beautiful too." Huo Ruwa just looked at his parents, not interested in it, and continued to compete with the 9-ring chain in his hand. "Ruimin is also beautiful, Ruwa is also beautiful." He Tian smiled and said, "Okay, Mom and Dad, you have to go out, you are fine at home." "Mom, I'll go too." Huo Ruimin threw something in her hand and rushed towards He Tian. Huo Yingzhe picked up Huo Ruimin, who was rushing towards her like a small cannonball, and said with a smile, "Mom and Dad have something to do." Ruimin is obedient. "Mom and Dad will come back later and bring you delicious food." Hearing this, Huo Ruimin looked like she was thinking, nodded and said, "Okay, I want egg rolls, and bear biscuits, I want." In just the blink of an eye, Huo Ruimin had already said a bunch of things to eat. "No, you have to eat well." He Tian refused easily. "Children cannot be spoiled." "Wow!" Huo Ruimin cried loudly and lay in her father's arms. "It's nothing if the child wants to eat something," Huo Yingzhe said with a smile. "Mom said you asked for too much. You asked for so many things, but Dad only bought you 2 things. You tell yourself, what do you want?" Can't we have it all?" Huo Ruimin still wanted to struggle and continue to fight for some. "No," Huo Yingzhe kissed his daughter's little face. "Tell me, which 2 are they? If you don't choose, your mother won't buy them for you." Huo Ruimin secretly glanced at her mother's serious face and had to reluctantly say, "Okay, I want red bean cakes and bear biscuits." "Be good." Huo Yingzhe nodded and put down his daughter. "Ruwa, what do you want?" Same as sister. Huo Ruwa did not look up and continued to play with the 9-ring chain in his hand. "Idiot brother, what you want is different from me. Don't we have 4 copies?" Huo Ruimin scolded his brother like a little adult. He was too stupid to take advantage of such a good opportunity. "Anyway, I don't like eating very much," Huo Ruwa whispered. "As much as you want, most of it will end up in your sister's stomach." Huo Yingzhe and He Tian left, somewhat speechless as they listened to their sons and girls talking childishly. "Brother Yingzhe, I always feel that our children are too smart," He Tian said in confusion. "It doesn't look like a 4-year-old child at all. At least I have never seen a 4-year-old child who speaks so fluently." Huo Yingzhe was proud, raised his chin slightly and said, "It proves that our genes are good. The child has inherited our intelligence." Regarding Huo Yingzhe's answer, He Tian disagreed and said, "I'm not smart, I'm just more diligent than others. As for you, you are a genius. I should have inherited your intelligence." "Haha, with my intelligence and your diligence, our children will become talented in the future." Huo Yingzhe smiled, he never doubted this. He Tian smiled, and suddenly thought of something very embarrassing, but also particularly curious to her. "Brother Yingzhe, Ruwa and Ruimin are already 4 years old. We usually don't use contraception, but why didn't I continue to be pregnant?" He Tian was very curious, and they had already given birth to children, proving that there is no problem with Huo Yingzhe. If there is no problem, but you still can't get pregnant, then there is a problem. Huo Yingzhe looked at the sky speechlessly. He had also thought about this. "It may be caused by the blood in our bodies," Huo Yingzhe said. "Our consciousnesses are all ancient gods. Gods may not be able to give birth to a divine child for millions of years, so even if we are reincarnated, we may not be able to give birth to a divine fetus. will be affected. But I gave birth to Ruwa, Ruiman, he Tian retorted, if I go by what you said, we probably won't have any children by now. Huo Yingzhi smiled bitterly, thinking of the little snake. However, he would never tell he Tian. That may be because we are lucky. Huo Yingzhi smiled and said, if it is available, we will take it, if not, we will give it up. Anyway, we already have a son and a daughter. My parents, after working so hard for so many years, only gave birth to me. They won't say you have too few children. Haha, don't talk about your elders like that. He Tian covered her mouth and smiled. If her father-in-law and mother-in-law were around, they would probably beat Huo Yingzhi. It's just the two of us, Huo Yingzhi smiled, come up, let's hurry up. At the entrance of the alley, he Tian sat on the back seat of Huo Yingzhi's bicycle. Huo Yingzhi put one foot on the ground and sat on the cushion. He waited for he Tian to come up before riding away. It took about half an hour to arrive at Jianshikan's home. Sun Sihao was drinking tea and talking with Jianshikan and Jianzhijao. The person who opened the door was a woman in her 20s or 80s. When she saw he Tian, she smiled lightly and said, is this the father-in-law's leader, he Tian? Haha, I can't talk about leadership. I am a junior, he Tian introduced herself, this is my husband, Huo Yingzhi. Hello, the woman smiled, my name is Xie Weining. I have water in my hand, so I won't shake hands with you. Please come inside. Hello, Sister Xie, he Tian said, coming in with her husband. The people in the room came out together when they heard he Tian's voice. There was another round of introductions, pleasantries, and we entered the house together. He Tian gave gifts, especially to the two children. When the girl is 6 years old, the gift is a doll, when the boy is 4 years old, the gift is a car. Although there is no battery, there is a clockwork. After being powered up, it can run around on the ground. Thank you Auntie and Uncle Huo. Jianzhijao taught the children to learn to be grateful and polite. The child is very sensible and polite. At first glance, it seems that he has a good tutor and is lovable. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 728. 726. Jianshikan's wife Liao Furong looks younger than Jianshikan, about 40 years old. She chatted with everyone and then cooked dinner with her daughter-in-law. He Tian came over to help. Aunt Jian, I'm here to help, he Tian said with a smile. The men in the room were talking and she couldn't get a word in, so she might as well come out and help. No, Tian Liao Furong refused, just sit in the room and you'll be fine for a while. It's okay, I can't say anything inside. He Tian had already squatted down and started choosing leeks. Xie Weining was cooking. When she saw he Tian, she smiled and said, sorry to trouble you. No trouble, he Tian said, by the way, I heard that you are leaving after the Lantern Festival. It's my husband and I, and the children are leaving. My mother-in-law doesn't want to leave, Xie Weining said, Zijao and I are both school teachers and we have to go to work. We will bring the children over during the summer vacation. There are vacations every summer and winter vacation, so we don't never see each other. Now that we are reforming and opening up, we can take a ship to Shenzhen, and then take a train from Shenzhen to Nanjing. Although it takes 2 days by train, it is worth it. Although my father-in-law looked older, he kept the house well. My mother-in-law had always missed her father-in-law and stayed to take care of him, which was within her expectations. Haha, that's good, he Tian said, I'm going to be an intern at the university soon, and I will also become a teacher in the future. I feel nervous just thinking about it. Oh, you are also a university teacher, Xie Weining said in surprise. She was the same, and she had heard about Nanji University for a long time. He Tian nodded and said, yes, but I just graduated in July this year. After this semester starts, I will start an internship. If nothing goes wrong, I will be a university teacher. I teach mathematics. What about you? Xie Weining asked. Her family went to Xiangjiang in the 1930s, and the whole family went there, so she has no relatives or friends in the mainland. Now she meets He Tian. It's sweet, and the job is the same, very happy. I'm a Chinese major, and I guess I can teach Chinese at most in the future. He Tian smiled and felt at a loss at first, but she studied hard and read, and believed that with her hard work, she could do a good job. Ah! My brother is from the Chinese department of Xiangjiang University, Xie Weining said. He is very talented. He can write lyrics. There are many songs for which he wrote the lyrics. Oops, it turns out that Xie Weining still has people from the entertainment industry in Xiangjiang. Haha, I heard that the entertainment industry in Hong Kong is booming, but I didn't expect that your brother is also in the industry, He Tian praised. Xie Weining's face was filled with admiration, and she said, actually, my brother is not a person in the entertainment industry, but is only responsible for writing lyrics. At first, it was just for fun. I didn't expect that my brother is so talented that he actually became famous among many singers. I'm inviting my brother to sing. He is indeed very talented. He Tian nodded. The domestic entertainment industry is not developed. When it develops in the future, our material and spiritual life will be richer. Yes, Xie Weining said, my father said that the mainland is currently undergoing reforms. As long as the policies are stable, it will develop rapidly in the next 30 years. He Tian and Xie Weining were working and chatting at the same time. Liao Furong smiled gently and listened to the young man's chat. Cooking is done, everyone eats and drinks. Huo Yingjia and Qian Zhijao are very speculative, especially in the field of patents, and have unique insights. Huo Yingjia thought that he had been engaged in weapons research and had a high status in the military field. However, if he wanted to make a fortune from this, it was absolutely impossible. He has so many things in his mind, it would be a pity to leave them unused. So he purposefully chatted with Qian Zhijao, hoping that Qian Zhijao could help him apply for a patent. It's just a patent company opened in the name of Qian Zhijao, which specializes in collecting various patents, or applying for patents, and subsequently collecting various patent fees for the patent owners. Huo Yingjia couldn't take out the military ones, so he could only get some civilian ones, and he couldn't apply in his own name, using He Tianation's name. The entertainment industry in Hong Kong is developed. With the existing technological capabilities, VCD videotapes and video recorders can be used. With this patent, the patent licensing fee charged from Hong Kong, and then to developed countries such as and Europe, is a very huge number. Video recorders, videotapes are outdated, and there are upgrades. Qian Zhijao also realized that this was a very good idea. If Huo Yingjia had comprehensive information, he could apply for a patent. He Tian vaguely heard something and knew that her husband was a thoughtful person, so He Tian supported him in doing this. At 9 o'clock in the evening, He Tian, Huo Yingjia, and Sun Sihao left. After returning home, He Tian asked with some concern, Brother Yingjia, will your cooperation with Qian Zhijao affect you? It won't have any impact, Huo Yingjia said with a smile, just put it in your name. Is that okay? He Tian blinked, we are husband and wife, and there is no difference between being in my name and yours. You just need to think about it carefully, and you can't let these things affect your job. Okay, Huo Yingjia nodded, it's okay, I know the severity. Actually, compared to Hong Kong, country M, and Europe, isn't the entertainment industry more developed? He Tian said, Grandma, Uncle Chi has business in the United States and Europe. Wouldn't it be more suitable for them to do it than in Xiangjiang? Ah. Huo Yingzhe nodded and said, oh, why didn't I think of that? When He Tiantian heard this, she rolled her eyes and said, okay, stop pretending. You have already thought about it? The reason why you want to cooperate with Jian must have other ideas. My Tiantian is so smart, she can guess everything. Huo Yingzhe smiled coquettishly. We mainly open a patent agency and are not responsible for production. We don't just have one patent, but many. But you also don't worry, I will mainly get some patents for civilian use and will not involve military matters. Well, okay, He Tian nodded, this will definitely make money. When the time comes, let Grandma and Uncle Chi get the authorization first. Thank them for taking care of us before. I know. Huo Yingzhe nodded, it didn't matter, he could still make money anyway. He Tiantian always knew what her husband was thinking. She always felt guilty that she couldn't make money with her skills and couldn't support the family. He Tiantian didn't care, but she understood Huo Yingzhe's psychology. Random thoughts are not just for women, men can do it too. As long as there is nothing wrong, she agrees with her husband's actions. As long as he feels comfortable, he will not think randomly. Her purpose is to hope for family harmony, and everything else is an effort for this purpose. She was working hard, and so was Huo Yingzhe. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 729. 727. Calculating the time, Huo Yingzhe will leave in another week. He Tiantian couldn't bear to leave Huo Yingzhe. He Tiantian didn't want to waste time, so she threw herself into Huo Yingzhe's arms, kissed him hard, teased him, and enjoyed the love and intimacy between the two. Huo Yingzhe couldn't ask for more of his wife's enthusiasm. Lantern Festival. He Tiantian hung 2 big red lanterns on the door early in the morning. These were made by Grandma Wang herself with bamboo strips, wrapped in a thin red cloth on the outside, and 2 thick candles inside. However, the candles would not be lit until the evening. During the day, He Tiantian made preparations, and waited until her mother-in-law and father-in-law came back at night, and the whole family celebrated the Lantern Festival together. He Tiantian ground sesame paste and peanut butter by hand to make the filling for the glutinous rice balls. Huo Yingzhe's hands were usually very dexterous, but today, for some reason, the glutinous rice balls he made were ugly in shape. Huo Ruimin, go play inside, not here, He Tiantian scolded. Look, you've already wasted 2 glutinous rice balls. Mom, I just want to make you Xiao. Huo Ruimin looked pitiful, staring at the glutinous rice balls on the table, and wanted to take another one. No, He Tiantian said, you can stay here to play, but you can't continue to touch these glutinous rice balls, otherwise I will beat you. Huo Ruimin looked at her father, hoping that the easy-to-talk father would agree to her. Ruimin, wasting food is not a good child. Huo Yingzhe smiled, don't you want to be a good child? Huo Ruimin thought for a while and said, then be a good child, I'll be obedient. Great. Huo Yingzhe praised and kissed her little face. Huo Ruimin rolled his eyes and said, Dad, are there rewards for being a good child? Yes, Huo Yingzhe nodded and said, what do you want? I want to eat caramel pudding, Huo Ruimin said, but Mom said I can only eat it once every 10 days. Huo Yingzhe looked at He Tiantian, trying to plead for his daughter. While wrapping Yuan Xiao, He Tiantian listened to the conversation between her daughter and her husband. When she saw her husband looking over, He Tiantian glared at him and said, you will have a toothache if you eat too much. You can't eat too much. Huo Yingzhe shrugged and said, he, you can't eat caramel pudding. Ruimin, can you change to something else? Well, forget it, Huo Ruimin said. When Mom glared at me, Dad didn't dare to say anything. It's useless to change to something else. That expression was just short of writing the 4 words, sowing discord on his face. You little girl, don't think about those messy things. Huo Yingzhe twisted her little nose, we will eat you and xiao in a while, it tastes very good. Okay, Huo Ruiman's tone was quite reluctant. The little guy felt bored in the house and went out to play with his brother. Huo Yingzhe and He Tiantian were left in the kitchen. The older the children are, the harder it is to take care of them, He Tiantian complained. My parents-in-law and Grandma Wang all spoil them at home. When you, the father, come home, you spoil them even more. As a mother, I can only be the bad guy and the villain. Huo Yingzhe smiled and said, children don't remember grudges. They won't forget your love for them just because you are serious. You usually beat them a lot, but it is undeniable that children are actually closest to you. Okay, He Tiantian smiled bitterly, I accept this consolation. Someone has to be the bad guy. Every time I scold the children, I feel distressed, but I can't spoil them all the time, otherwise they won't know what's good and what's bad, and it will be more troublesome when they grow up. Thank you for your hard work, my wife, Huo Yingzhe said, kissing He Tiantian on the face. I am concerned about you, but you can't tell good from bad. Huo Yingzhe kissed He Tiantian's face, and finally stopped on He Tiantian's bright red lips, saying, it hurts so much, how can you bear to hit me? I was just kidding, don't take it to heart. I will take care of myself when I leave, don't worry about me. That's better, He Tiantian smiled proudly, don't be so naive in the future. I will take care of the family affairs, you don't have to worry about the family. Just work with peace of mind, take care of yourself, and don't think about anything else. Okay, Huo Yingzhe smiled, feeling touched and bitter. How could I not worry? How could I not think? On the Lantern Festival, Huo Ruiman and Huo Ruhua sang a tuneless nursery rhyme, counting ducks, as if they were entertaining their parents with colorful clothes. With a sumptuous dinner and delicious glutinous rice balls, the family reunited and spent a happy Lantern Festival together. As the departure date drew closer, Huo Yingzhe wished he could stick to He Tiantian every moment. At night, he shed countless passion and sweat. Zhang Aijun and Li Yunzong packed their luggage. He Tiantian also brought Huo Yingzhe a lot of spring and summer clothes, and prepared 30 kilograms of braised meat for them. When they arrived at the company in the evening, they could take it out and eat it directly without spoiling. With so much, they could give some to Chief Engineer Sun and Aunt Li, and also treat their colleagues to dinner. He Tiantian watched Huo Yingzhe leave, and didn't go home alone until the train left. Her husband left, which made He Tiantian feel a little depressed. Fortunately, she had 2 lovely children by her side, which eased the feeling of separation. Life has to go on, and He Tiantian doesn't have that much time to be sad. She has to do an internship, manage a shop, and take care of her family. He Tiantian's job is relatively simple, helping the freshman class teacher manage the class. Frequently visit dormitories or classrooms to understand students' thoughts. Huang Jingli took leave and has not come to school yet. She will come back for internship after giving birth at home. Kui Ying and Huashan were assigned to intern at Nanxi Museum. As long as you perform well during the internship, you will probably be assigned to that unit. Wu Yaoliang was assigned to intern at the Civil Materials Research Institute in Nanxi, which was where Huo Yingzhe wanted to go. He Tiantian's current job is as a temporary counselor for Class 2 of the Chinese Department of Grade 79. In college, self-study in the evening is not mandatory. Some people are willing to come to self-study, while others are not. In order to do a better job, He Tiantian went to the class's evening self-study several times and gradually became familiar with some students. Usually when students are in class, He Tiantian will sit at the back of the classroom, observe, listen to the teacher's lectures and study and prepare lessons. After a while, she will start teaching an elective course in the school on the appreciation of Tang and song poetry. Thank you all for your tips, the manuscript is being saved. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 730. 728. He Tian packed her things and got ready to get off work. At this time, Zhang Mengmeng, the class representative in the class, brought in the homework and said, "Teacher this is the homework book." "Thank you." He Tian smiled and looked at the little girl in simple clothes. Her clothes were a little thin. "Isn't it cold?" Zhang Mengmeng shook her head and said, "It's not cold, teacher After school, I read under the quilt in the dormitory." "Well, take care of yourself," he Tian said. "If you have any difficulties, you can tell me." "Okay, teacher," Zhang Meng said with a smile. "If nothing happens, I'll go out first." "Goodbye," he Tian smiled. She knew that Zhang Mengmeng's family conditions were not good, but she wanted to help Zhang Mengmeng, but she was afraid of hurting Zhang Mengmeng's self-esteem. He Tian put on her coat, hat, and scarf. When we got out of the house, the wind was blowing loudly outside. He Tian shrank her neck, went to the bicycle shed, found her Phoenix brand women's bicycle, and put her books and homework in the basket in front of her. "Teacher," a voice came from behind. It was a boy. He Tian pushed the bicycle, turned around and said, "Sun Hao, what do you want? It's so late, aren't you going to eat?" Sun Hao smiled heartily and said softly, "I will go over to eat in a while. I saw the teacher playing there, so I came over to say hello to teacher Well, I'm going home." "You go and eat quickly," he Tian said. "Playing ball can help you exercise, but if you don't play, you should wipe off your sweat and get dressed quickly to avoid catching a cold." "Thank you, teacher, for reminding me." Sun Hao smiled, holding the basketball in his hand. He Tian nodded and smiled, riding his bicycle and leaving in the cold wind. When he Tian walked away, a few boys came over from behind, patted Sun Hao on the shoulder and said, "Sun Hao, teacher is married. Please don't look at teacher like that." "Hey," Sun Hao said melancholy, "what a pity. If teacher is not married, we will all pursue teacher Another boy said, "If you are married, forget it. And I heard that teacher husband is a soldier. If you dare to mess around, you will destroy the military marriage." The man's words made everyone sigh. Sun Hao lowered his head and remained silent. A group of people went to the cafeteria to eat together. Sun Hao felt that the delicious braised pork ribs in front of him was not as delicious as before. Teacher voice and smile are all in my mind. I still remember half a month ago, when teacher appeared at the door of the classroom, the originally noisy classroom became quiet, and everyone looked at the elf-like woman standing at the door. How could this woman's eyes be so bright? How can this woman's skin be so fair? How can this woman have such a graceful figure? Teacher walked in front of the podium and spoke. How can this woman's voice be so beautiful? Sun Hao's heart suddenly stopped beating as if it had been hit hard, but then it beat faster again. When they arrived at the dormitory, Sun Hao couldn't see it in, so he went to bed. In the dream, he was still her shadow. In the dream, he even did this and that to teacher Alas, Sun Hao woke up in the morning, sighed and decided to hide this feeling in his heart. Teacher is still the beautiful and gentle teacher. Sun Hao, still the polite and good student, is waiting to graduate from college and follow his father's arrangements to enter an official career. In the midst of the busyness, the 8th day of the 3rd lunar month arrived, which was the opening day of the Sanfanqiao branch in the south of the city. At the end of last year, we recruited some people again. After learning, they are now able to take charge of their own duties and have enough manpower. Sanfanqiao's braised pork and dim sum are already well known among the people in Nanji, so on the opening day, business in the south of the city was very good. Sun Sihao became the manager of the 2 shops, taking charge of arranging the sales of the 2 shops and supervising production. Qian Chicken continued to manage raw materials and arranged for people to deliver fresh meat to the 2 shops every day. Wu Yaoliang and Wu Yaoliang's father and cousin came over to congratulate him. Since he Tian opened the store, they have been supplying goods, and they have already controlled the livestock and poultry purchasers in several surrounding counties. Although it was hard work, I did make money. Now that He Tian has opened a store, they gave him a big gift. After the opening, He Tian encouraged everyone and gave everyone opening red envelopes, then took a few guests to a nearby restaurant for dinner. Wu Yaliang, how is Sister Jingli doing now? He Tian asked, counting the days. She was about to give birth. Wu Yaliang smiled so hard that he couldn't see his eyes and said, Jingli is very good now. She gave birth to a son the night before yesterday. She is currently confinement at home. After confinement, my mother and Jingli will come to the city to take care of the child. Ah, He Tian was surprised. Sister Jingli has already given birth? That's great. I was supposed to go to visit, but now you have seen it, there is no time at all. I will go to visit Sister Jingli when she comes to the city. Go back and explain to her, don't make her angry. She knows you are so busy, Wu Yaliang said. She also told me that after confinement, she wants to go shopping and buy clothes with you. You have a good taste and can choose good-looking things for her. Okay, it's settled. He Tian nodded. Come on, we're opening today, I'll give you a toast with tea instead of wine, and wish us a prosperous business. Business is booming, everyone agreed. After the opening, He Tian became even busier, which gave He Tian the idea of looking for help, but there was no one he trusted for the time being. Zhang Lifang wanted to help her daughter-in-law, but she only knew medical skills and had no problem performing operations, but she couldn't read the account books. There were so many numbers that were dazzling. Tian, money is not earned in a day, and you have lost weight. Zhang Lifang felt very distressed when she saw that He Tian was thinner than during the new year. Seeing that her mother-in-law was worried, He Tian smiled and said, Mom, it's okay, I can still be busy. The reason why I lost weight is that I lost the weight gained during the new year. Do you still have some fat? Zhang Lifang looked up and down. Eat more tomorrow and don't lose weight. If Yingzhi sees this, he won't know how to feel distressed. By the way, do you need an accountant? I think you need to read the account books every day. I also have to grade my homework and go to bed at 12 o'clock every day. He Tian's eyes lit up. She really wanted to find an accountant. Mom, do you have a suitable candidate? He Tian asked in surprise. Can you trust him? How is his ability? Very capable. She is the accountant of our hospital. She has reached retirement age, Zhang Lifang said. Although she has a retirement salary, her husband is in poor health and her son's income is not high. She doesn't want to drag down her children, so she came up with it: find a job. You know, if you have good medical skills in the hospital, you can be re-employed. People in other departments are rarely re-employed. After all, there are many people graduating every year. When they retire, a position will be vacant. Fighting for it? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 731. 729. He Tian was very happy. It would be much easier if she had a trustworthy accountant to help her read the books. Okay, I'm looking to recruit an accountant. Mom, if you think her character is reliable, just introduce her to her. He Tian said. Tomorrow afternoon, I happen to have no classes, so you can ask her to come to our house, meet and talk to her. Talk about salary and working hours. Okay, I'll tell her tomorrow, Zhang Lifang said. She happens to retire at the end of this month, and I guess she can come to work by then. By the way, what kind of treatment do you give the accountant? I can also talk to her, so as not to have to worry about it. I thought the salary was low and people were unwilling to work. After all, the accountant's family really needed a salary. They are all old colleagues for more than 20 years, and Zhang Lifang doesn't want to make trouble because of money matters. My current store employee's monthly bonus salary adds up to about 220 yuan. Because she has just arrived and is your friend, the basic salary is only 200 yuan. With bonuses, she can probably earn about 240 yuan. He Tian replied, an experienced old accountant is more worry-free, and now he has to pay taxes, and he Tian is unable to do many things. Where's 240 yuan? Zhang Lifang was surprised, oh my god, it's higher than my salary. I only have 180 yuan. He Tian smiled and said, in the eyes of many people, you are an iron rice bowl and respected by others. We who do business are looked down upon by others, so a higher salary can compensate for the injured soul. Haha, hey, if it weren't for the fact that I couldn't help, I would have wanted to work in your shop. Zhang Lifang joked, it seems that the shop is making money, so don't tire yourself out and train more talents. Take it easy. He Tian nodded and said, well, I think so too. Now that I have an accountant, I will hire a cashier elsewhere. In this case, we can keep each other in check and I can check the accounts at any time. There should be no problems. Yes, some people will get lost in front of money. Only proper supervision can eliminate some people's petty thoughts. Zhang Lifang whispered, not wanting her daughter-in-law to be deceived by employees. I've written it down. He Tian said, if you have a suitable person over there, you can introduce him. I don't have it over there. Zhang Lifang said, you can figure it out yourself. The next afternoon, Zhang Lifang was not on duty in the afternoon and took Accountant Liang home with her. Accountant Liang is a woman in her 50s. She may be unhappy in life, but she looks much older than Zhang Lifang. Oh, this is your daughter-in-law, Accountant Liang said with a smile, looking He Tian up and down. The last time Director Wang said he met your daughter-in-law, he was giving you lunch, and he kept praising me in front of me. Now it's really worthy of the name. Aunt Liang, thank you very much. Sit inside. He Tian said, welcoming Zhang Lifang and Accountant Liang into the room, and poured some tea. The two sat down, and He Tian brought over some snacks. Tian, I'll take care of the kids. You and your Aunt Liang talk about work. Zhang Lifang was too embarrassed to listen on the side, so it was more appropriate to let them talk on their own. Okay, He Tian smiled and watched her mother-in-law leave. Accountant Liang smiled and said, I told your mother-in-law about my situation before, and I guess your mother-in-law has told you too, so I won't say more. I have a pension, but it's not much, so I just thought come out and find a job to support your family. You can give me whatever you want. He Tian smiled and said, Aunt Liang is too polite, but you can't give the salary casually. There are more than 30 people in my shop. If you give it randomly, it will affect the morale of the employees. Haha, that's right. Accountant Liang smiled. Aunt Liang, do you think this is okay? After you come here, I will give you a monthly salary of 200 yuan, and there will be some bonus more or less at the end of the month. If you agree, we will come over after you retire. Then we will. How about signing the contract? He Tian said with a smile. She really wanted Accountant Liang to come to work early. Accountant Liang was stunned. He didn't expect that the salary was really 200 yuan. Zhang Lifang said before that she didn't believe it yet and thought it was a joke. Her retirement salary is only 80 yuan, which is only enough for her family's basic needs, so she has to work. If you have a monthly salary of 200 yuan and a pension, it will be 280 yuan. With bonuses, it will probably be 300 yuan. Is this salary too high? You're not giving it for your mother-in-law's sake, are you? Accountant Liang is also an honest person and feels that his work is not worth such a high salary. He Tian smiled and said, because it was introduced by my mother-in-law, I believe in Aunt Liang's character. Aunt Liang, Don't think too much about it. The wages of other employees are not low, and the workload is also very heavy. It's time for Aunt Liang to work hard. Accountant Liang was slightly relieved after hearing this, but more than happy. He nodded and said, I will work hard in the future. Thank you, Aunt Liang. He Tian thanked her. It was private, but some responsibilities and obligations would also be implemented in the contract. Afterwards, he Tian asked her mother-in-law to talk to Accountant Liang while she went to cook, leaving Accountant Liang to eat at home. After Accountant Liang left, Zhang Lifang asked, Are you okay, Aunt Liang? She is an old accountant, and her business ability is beyond doubt. He Tian said. She said her salary was high before? She is a real person. Haha, I told her about the salary of 200 yuan, but she still didn't believe it. Zhang Lifang said, with these 200 yuan, her family's life will be much easier, and you can also save a little bit. Yes, he Tian smiled, I really hope Aunt Liang can go to work tomorrow. The accounts of the two shops are much more than before. Various expenses and taxes are very difficult and time-consuming for He Tian to handle. Haha, you need to work hard for a while longer, Zhang Lifang said, as long as you have someone you can trust, you know what you are doing. Just hold on for another 10 days. While He Tian was busy, Qi Zhenmin sent a telegram saying that she, her brother, grandma, and Grandpa Qi would take the train to Nanji on the 23rd. With the precedent from last year, He Tian was not surprised. She cleaned up the guest room at home early, and then asked Secretary Guo to pick her up at the train station at 7 o'clock in the evening on the 24th. The reason why He Tian didn't pick her up was because the jeep, including the driver, could barely fit 5 people. He Tian went there and there was no place to sit in the car. When Secretary Guo came to pick him up, he explained it to He Tian. At home, Grandma Qi-san lived in her parents' room, while Qi Zhenmin and Qi Zhengan lived in the guest room in the wing. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Qi Xing Cao. Chapter 732. 730. I was very happy when I had a guest at home. After hearing this, He Tian smiled all day long and could finally see Grandma Qi-san. He Tian was cooking, and Qi Zhenmin came over to help and said, Sister Tian, we will probably have to live in Nanji with Chang in the future. My brother wants to buy a house in Nanji. Can you help us? Okay, He Tian nodded. She learned that Qi Zhengan and Qi Zhenmin would handle the affairs of the joint venture automobile company in Nanji in the future, so they would come to Nanji often. Qi Zhengan has been living in her house, which is indeed a bit inconvenient. In fact, this was not Qi Zhengan's idea, it was Qi Zhenmin who wanted to buy a house. As a younger sister, Qi Zhenmin knows what her brother is thinking, and her brother likes He Tian. Over the years, even if my brother had a girlfriend, they would break up soon after getting along. She had also observed in private that those women were more or less similar to Sister Tian. In this way, often living in the same yard, not seeing each other when looking up, will only make the brother sink deeper and deeper, unable to extricate himself. Thank you, Sister Tian. Qi Zhenmin smiled. Fortunately, Sister Tian is still so enthusiastic and good-looking. If she were a man, she might also like a beautiful person like He Tian. By the way, Zhenmin, what do you and your brother want? He Tian asked. This way I can buy a house for your family in a targeted way, so as not to buy a generic one that you won't like either. Qi Zhenmin thought for a while and said, it's better to be bigger, and it's better to be similar to a yard like yours. By the way, when we have cooks and bodyguards, it's better to be bigger. Oh, okay, He Tian responded, the environment is better and the transportation is convenient. Yeah, that's it, Qi Zhenmin nodded. Sister Tian, how is your business? Anyway, I know Brother Dajan and Sister Lily's business is very good. They are seeking advice from you, so your business must be not bad. It's pretty good, He Tian smiled. It's just a small business, making some pocket money. You are too modest, Qi Zhenmin said. Sister Tian has a strong temper. Either she doesn't do something, or she does it the best. You can open a branch this year, which shows that your business is very good. Don't worry, I won't steal business from you, don't worry. Haha, He Tian didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Girl, you are so old and you still speak so freely. By the way, is your cooperation with Nanji going smoothly? Smooth, very smooth. We will go to negotiate in a few days, Qi Zhenmin said. As long as the negotiations go well, we can invest. Haha, then we can meet often, He Tian said. When the time comes, your automobile factory is a big one, so you can order braised pork at my shop. No problem, Qi Zhenmin said, I can make the decision on this matter. He Tian smiled and said, when the weather gets warmer, I will take you to live in the yard by the lake. The scenery there is beautiful. Qi Zhenmin liked the environment there and nodded. Okay, Grandma will never forget the scenery over there. Well, in that case, let's move there this weekend, He Tian said. Reuniting with Grandma Qi and Grandpa Qi made He Tian forget about other things, including Qi Zhengan. Huo Jekan and Zhang Lifang came over after get off work and saluted Grandma Qi-san and Old Man Qi. Thinking that they were very tired after taking the train, He Tian prepared hot water for them to have a good rest after eating. In the morning, when He Tian got up, Qi Zhengan had already returned from running around. Qi Zhengan was wearing sportswear. Because of the exercise, there was some sweat on his forehead and his face was rosy. Good morning, He Tian greeted. Good morning to you too, Qi Zhengan smiled. I'm going to wash up first. He Tian made rice porridge and 2 side dishes. There were also salted duck eggs that Wu Yaliang's mother had sent to her at home. Thinking of Qi Zhenmin, Qi Zhengan ate all the Western food, so he brought a lot of bread and biscuits from the shop yesterday, made sandwiches, fried eggs, etc. After He Tian was done, everyone got up one after another. Looking at the time, he was still half an hour away from going to work. He Tian had breakfast and said goodbye to everyone. When Qi Zhengan saw He Tian going out, he followed him out for a walk. After leaving the alley, He Tian smiled and said, you can wander around by yourself, I have to go to work. Okay, Qi Zhengan nodded and watched He Tian ride away on his bicycle. In fact, he also wanted to carry He Tian on his bicycle and take her to school together. Along the way, He Tian's mind flashed with Qi Zhengan's eyes. Hey, it's been so many years and I still haven't given up. It seems that buying a house needs to be done as soon as possible, otherwise it will be inconvenient to live under the same roof all the time. When he arrived at school, He Tian first went around the prison classroom and saw Zhang Mingmeng's eyes were red and swollen, as if she had cried. Seeing that class was about to start, He Tian couldn't help but call someone out. She wanted to wait until school was over to ask questions. Sun Hao looked at He Tian silently when He Tian's figure appeared in the classroom. Still so pretty and gentle. Alas, before you gave birth to me, I gave birth to you and you were already old. Even if he doesn't mind that He Tian is older than him, she is already married and has nothing to do without him. After school, Zhang Mengmeng came to deliver homework, and her mood was slightly better than in the morning. Zhang Mengmeng, what happened? He Tian said, now I am your acting class teacher. If you have any questions, you can tell me and I will try my best to help you. No. Zhang Mengmeng was speechless and choked for a moment. She wanted to say it, but she was afraid of getting into trouble for the teacher. Speak, He Tian said, if you don't speak up, you won't be able to solve the problem, and it will also affect your grades. Zhang Mengmeng thought about it, nodded and said, Teacher I want to go out to look for a job at night, but I can't find a suitable one. The official unit doesn't want me, and the small unit is too far away, so I can't come back at night. Yesterday, when I came back last night, I almost got bullied by gangsters. So this is He Tian said cautiously, if this is the case, you should tell me earlier. If you had told me earlier, maybe you wouldn't cry. Zhang Mengmeng was stunned. Teacher can you really help me find temporary workers? Okay, He Tian said. There is a job in her shop. It is very simple to recruit a temporary worker. Okay, there are no classes tomorrow morning. I will take you to the hospital for a physical examination. If there is no problem, I can introduce you to work in Sanfan Kiao. Sanfan Kiao, Zhang Mengmeng was stunned. Is it that shop near our school that does a lot of business? He Tian nodded and said, yes, it is the Sanfan Bridge.